Education is like something that would help you in the future.
Later in life.
Yeah. So you wouldn't like die when you go out on your own. Like
So some survival
education
skills?
could be
All my questions are blown away.
like education could be like basic math skills and like working with
Learning.
numbers, or education could be like learning how to cook, because you're gonna need
to know
that
these-
skill.
Yeah, when you get older.
Seventh to eighth.
7th and 8th.
Yep.
In 7th and 8th, you
Yeah, we go to the
We go to the
same school. And where you're from, it's
I guess 7th to 8th.
7th to 8th? Okay.
I went 1 through 8th grade and then right to a full-year high school.
So in 6th and 7th grade, you had no special classification?
No. It was pretty much the same. You stayed in one classroom, you had one teacher all day long.
All the way up through
Yeah.
8th grade?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Catholic school.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Me
Long
too.
time ago. 19...
Not so long ago either.
I had
69.
and I had a middle school.
You did?
6th through 8th.
6th through 8th. Okay.
And I had both. I went to 7th grade in a traditional, this was a junior high school, which was 7, 8, and 9. And then I went to 8th grade in a Catholic 1 through 8, but from 6th through 8th, we actually changed classes. Right, in one little corner of the school, we changed classes, so it was kind of a mini junior high.
And I also went to Catholic school for 2 years around that time. I went to a 1 through 8 school for all of junior high.
Well, probably all of our hours are different because like I live kind of far out, but the bus still comes and gets me early in the morning, so I wake up at 6. Because it takes me a while to get ready, right? So the bus comes at 7:30, so I wake up at 6, get on the bus, get to school, and we head to the cafeteria where everyone's like you can have breakfast there if you want, or just sit and talk to your friends, whatnot.
I got up really early, like 6, and I think school, like the bell rang at 7:15, and I took the bus, so I had to be at the bus stop by like 6:45. It was only a block away from where I lived, but
Could you
you know,
walk?
I remember running to catch the bus, and always kind of like sometimes leaving books behind, and I think that's part of middle school, that age. Thinking about like what you're doing Friday night and not so much on the studies. And
How did your day start at school? Do you remember?
yeah, we had, the tardy bell would ring, and we would all have to be in our seats, and we changed from classroom to classroom depending on the subject.
Did you have a homeroom?
We did. 6th grade, we were in the homeroom a lot, but then 7th and 8th grade, it was only for like special events or days of the year that we went to our homeroom. Oh, and also get our report cards. But 6th grade was very kind of organized in the sense that like elementary school was, and then 7th and 8th grade was a lot, different.
I get up at 7:30 and I get ready and then I walk to school because they don't let you take the bus if you're 20 minutes or less walking distance.
Yeah, because she lives kind of really close to the school.
I, for the most part, took a trolley to school. I lived about 1.5 miles from school and would take a trackless trolley to school. And we actually came home at lunch. We had an hour and a half for lunch. So we'd take the trolley home and back at lunchtime. And if we had, a nice day longer, we'd walk. That was a long walk, it was getting exercise then. So we actually came home for lunch.
My mom lives in Brattleboro and my dad lives in Marlboro, and I go to Marlboro, so when I'm with my mom, I have to wake up at 6, and when I'm with my dad, I have to wake up more at like 6:45, and I take the bus normally both times, when I'm with my mom and when I'm with my dad. And then we normally we have like this morning recess until just for like 15 minutes, and then we go in.
And is that like on a playground?
Yeah.
Yeah, our morning recess is like inside the cafeteria.
Yeah, we don't get to go outside at all the whole
Nope.
day unless it's like gym and we do 2 laps around the track.
The junior high that I went to in 7th grade was a huge building. It was almost a block long, and I think there were over 1,200 students, and our classes were huge too. We had, I mean, for a public school, we had 35 and 40 in a class. And we were also probably the last vestiges of the unmarried school teacher who devoted her life to teaching. About half of my teachers in junior high were still unmarried teachers, older, much older. Miss Schmidt was my homeroom teacher. Miss Lovejoy was my social studies teacher. And they had white hair and they wore it up in a bun. And then the other half, I had a man for English, and he was a young guy, and he, told funny stories about his experience in the military and so forth. So it was sort of the modern and the old-fashioned kind of put together in one school. But we did, in the morning, have morning exercises. We started with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and we said the Lord's Prayer, and then whoever had it for that week had to read a psalm. And I didn't know anything about the Bible because I was brought up Catholic, so I remember Miss Schmidt had to pick the psalms for me. So I learned them by heart.
This was a public school?
Public school. And,
Wow.
and in Catholic
Wow.
school, we had lots of morning exercises. I remember the morning offering was part of it, and the special morning prayer, and which I still remember. But, and we walked to school. 7th grade was about a mile away, and all the kids, you didn't walk even a block. We walked a mile, and nobody thought anything of it.
To the bus.
Oh,
Yeah.
to the bus, okay.
Our first class, we go to our lockers, get our binders for our first 2 classes.
Then we go to advisory.
Wait, first thing, get your stuff and then go to your advisory.
What's an advisory?
An advisory is like the
Um,
beginning of the day and the end of the day kind of class, like homeroom.
Uh-huh. And
But it's really short.
And they do announcements and things
Yeah.
like that? And
Yeah.
Do you have an advisory time? Do they do morning announcements or anything?
No,
No?
my school is really small.
Uh-huh. How big's your class?
13 people.
How big are your classes? About?
Well,
16, 18?
yeah.
Somewhere around there?
Big classes, 40, 50 students in a class, yeah. Wow. And when I taught in 68, 70, also big classes.
Well, 6th grade, was similar to you, Jill. It was very much like the rest of elementary school. Then 7th grade and 8th grade, we did change classes, and it started, I guess, around 8:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. And we did, we moved from room to room.
But it was very regimented. I believe certainly in 7th and 8th grade, we did like math all morning and English, or English all morning and math all afternoon. And then Fridays we'd have art, and sometimes we'd have music and
Did you start the day with any morning announcements or any rituals?
prayers, math. Probably had to go. You didn't have to go, but probably went to mass first, and if you wanted to, and then the classes started. I guess you probably had religion first, and then we'd have math in the morning, and then probably a little bit of geography or science, and then. But most of the emphasis was on math and English.
We go to our first 2 cores, which are like science, math, English, and social studies.
Those are the 4 cores.
Yeah.
They split them up, so the
Yeah.
first 2 cores, lunch, and then
We studied all the usual things. We studied history. I learned in 7th grade, I went to Catholic school, and Sister Conchetta taught sentence diagramming, which was one of my favorite things. I really liked it. And I used to also win spelling bees. So
Algebra,
yeah.
I'm working on that. And we just finished like negative numbers.
Math, science, history, and we also, some of us were placed in different math classes. In 7th grade, that's when they started separating the classes. So the more advanced students went on to a different math class in 7th grade. And it was almost like, you know, these are the students who are going to college and these are not. And I remember feeling confused, like why don't they get to be in my class with me? It was, yeah.
We did the ancient Egyptians and then the ancient Chinese, now we're doing ancient India. We're kind of done with that.
No, we did ancient Greece now.
We're doing ancient Greece now, currently.
Yeah, I think the classes, I mean, I remember being bored in first, second, third grade when, you know, people learning to read, and you have to listen to people read slowly. I think the classes, for the most part, proceeded at the higher level, and if you couldn't catch up, if you weren't, a couple of my siblings were taken out of the Catholic school and sent to public school where the classes were a lot smaller because they weren't, you know, they weren't able to keep up. So.
And in my school, you asked about study halls. I remember in my middle school, it was the students who were behind, or, you know, in the kind of the lower tier, who went to study hall, and these were the same kids who opted out of like choir and band, some of the
Activities.
well, optional classes,
Right.
the arts primarily, they opted out of, which looking back is just sad because their whole school day was like the more rigorous, you know, academic stuff, and I remember looking forward to like, oh, for fourth period I'm going to be in music, and it was like, you know, a break and a shift in my brain, but these kids never had that, and they went to study hall and just gossiped the whole time, and they didn't get extra help. It was just, I remember walking through the study hall, it was a cafeteria, and it was just so loud. There was no studying going on.
Science. Well, for some people it's a difficult subject to learn because it's like people only, like, some people only believe what they can see. Like atoms, you can't really see atoms, so some people don't really believe it.
Really?
Yeah. So like, our science teacher is trying to like make us understand atoms and that they're everywhere and that they're in everything, and like collisions is a big thing right now, like collisions with air molecules and something else called air pressure.
Yeah, we're like working on like gravity and air pressure and water pressure and collisions and like high temperature and low temperature. We're not allowed to say hot and cold or cool.
Why not?
And because they don't explain enough.
Yeah, because apparently to him we don't know what they mean, so high temperature and low temperature is better.
Do you get to do experiments then?
Yeah, we have a lot of those.
We did this experiment where so you have like a can and you fill it up with like a couple of drops of water, and then you put it on a burner, and
So it gets nice and warm.
And once you see like a cloud on the top, then you have mitts and you flip it over into a beaker of water, and you have to have it upside down where the opening is in the water, and then it implodes, and then we have to say what we think happened, and then we'll have a class discussion.
Where he tells you what actually happened, and you usually end up wrong.
But, and,
Yeah. So I like science. It's pretty fun.
Yeah?
yeah.
The information that he's giving us is pretty useful.
And he's really good at explaining things.
Yeah, he's really good at. He actually takes his time to, like, understand and see if we get it.
Do you have an English class?
Yes.
Right? What do you do? What do you do do you
We're
read?
working on grammar.
Grammar. Parts
For
of
us,
speech?
It's like linguistics.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my teacher calls it.
What are you doing?
Conjugation and just saying things right. Might be kind of similar to what you guys are doing.
Does anyone diagram a sentence?
What?
You've diagrammed sentences?
Probably.
Yeah?
Wait, what?
It's where you actually write out a sentence and then the teacher starts underlining parts of it,
Yeah,
and dividing
we
it
did
up,
that. That
and
was
breaking
like-
it down.
A test we had on.
Yeah, there was always the ability, there was Latin, French, and Spanish that you could take, no German. Well, German in high school.
Middle school?
In middle school, you could start Spanish and French, yeah. And, because our middle school was a junior high, and it included 9th grade. And we had a chorus, a mixed chorus, and a choir, and an orchestra and a band, and they were a big deal. I mean, they were good. The concerts were really fun to prepare for. The parents really liked them. We put on musicals. We did a Christmas concert and a spring concert. And there were lots of clubs after school, debating clubs and, you know, whatever else you wanted. Oh, they had home ec and shop, because I remember I
In middle school?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
How about
Yeah.
sports?
Yeah, they had some,
Did you have a gym class?
yep,
Did you have to take showers?
yes.
We didn't.
Yes, we did.
We had nothing at all. I'm just
We had
sixth,
next to
seventh-
nothing.
I mean, it was different in high school, but 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, nothing. It was just the same as
Yeah.
it was in 1st grade. But
Yeah.
you had art class on Friday afternoons, and you had some music, and there was no sports except for, you know, what you did in recess. There was no organized sports. There was, you know, no chorus
in
or
Catholic
band.
school, no.
There were no clubs.
I have different exploratories than her.
Did you
we-
get to choose them?
No.
Next year we do.
Oh, they rotate them or flip them around a bit.
I don't even know, but we think we'll choose one all this year.
Yeah.
Just give us.
We get to choose if we want to do band and chorus or stuff.
Yeah. Just band and course is the only thing you get to choose.
They split the exploratories up on a purple day and a white day. And on purple days in the morning, I have oh yeah, I have healthy bodies, and we're learning about like
Drugs and alcohol.
no, no. Well, we're learning about advertisement too, and how like it's targeting. Yeah, it's targeting like
kids, little kids.
it's actually targeting people that are underage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I have language, like different languages, foreign language.
Oh. Which languages?
Well, we did French and
Bonjour.
They just kind of give you an example of all the languages,
little
and then
taste.
have you, a little taste of it, and,
and
have
then
you
next
choose
year,
it.
and then next year
Choose
we
a
get to
language.
choose a language.
But you
Oh.
want to do the whole.
That's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So
I
what
haven't
were the
had
different
language.
what were
I
the
haven't
different languages choices were there?
Well, we did French, and then we did German and Chinese, and I think it's like Italian or what's the other
Did you
one?
do Spanish?
Yeah, we're doing Spanish
Yeah.
and I think that's
pretty much
yeah, that's it.
We only have one choice, and that's Spanish.
We use calculators all the time.
Yeah,
You use calculators all the
we're
because some
dependent-
teachers wouldn't allow you. They wanted you to.
We don't use very many calculators. Like, we don't use calculators all the time unless we're correcting, like, a test or something. But it depends. Sometimes we can, but sometimes
Yeah, we use
How-
calculators to do our work.
Yeah, we
Is it because we use big numbers or just because we're lazy?
lazy.
Yeah,
No,
we're
but
just like
she got us
dependent
a-
on calculators.
Can you do the work without
Yeah.
the calculator too? It's just slower.
Yeah, it's
Or
a
do
lot
you
slower
rely on
and
it?
yeah.
You're alive.
No,
No.
never heard
Well,
of a calculator.
I was in middle school in the 90s. So yes, we had computers.
Do you get to use computers in school?
Yes.
Can you bring your own from home?
Nobody ever
No,
did
they
that. but
they provide them.
What if you did though? I mean, I don't
What
see.
if you brought your own
You have
laptop?
to,
I don't see a
let
problem
you.
with that.
in
No.
high school, you have to ask, but sometimes you can. It depends, like, if you're working on, like, a project or something.
So if you had a special thing, you did a PowerPoint thing at home, and you they'd
Yeah.
say, okay.
Right.
They didn't have those,
In the 50s,
the
we brought
portable
phones to school.
phones, you know,
We
like
didn't even have push
people
button
have.
phones. We just had like dial phone.
We didn't
How
even
did you
have
guys
a
communicate?
payphone.
Could you get in touch with your parents from
I
school?
remember my
No.
dad would sometimes forget me at school.
Mine
The
too.
teachers would have to call his office and remind him.
Yeah, nobody had phones, nobody had cars in high school, everybody walked.
How would kids and teachers be able to communicate with their parents throughout the day?
They didn't.
My mother would have been very surprised to get any calls
She
from
was
us.
like, they're gone for the day.
I was just going to say, surprised and annoyed, I think.
That was
like,
their
oh,
time.
please do not call me now.
We're not allowed to use iPods or cell phones.
No iPods.
Yeah, we have a thing for all electronics. If they see it once, then they'll take it away, and then they'll give it to you at the end of the day. If they see it again, then they'll take it away and your
They call your
parents, yeah, they'll call your parents, then they'll give it to you. And then the third time, your parents have to get it. And then
They
the
have to
fourth,
come to school and pick it up.
yeah, and the fourth
Do you get
time,
detention or something?
no. The fourth time, you have to wait for a month, and then your parents have to come and get it. And then it keeps going 2 months, 3 months, and so on.
We shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah. It's like, why don't you just...
Well, I mean, you're not really supposed to be using it in school, but still, we shouldn't really.
Doesn't every kid bring? I've heard that lots of kids bring cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
we
You're
have to
allowed
keep
to
them
bring
in our
stuff.
locker.
You're
On the-
allowed
on
to
the-
bring them.
On
Yeah.
the bus, you're allowed to use them, but not like
Yeah.
in class or in school time.
Do kids use them in class anyway?
Yes.
Some
Do
people
they get
Some
caught
people-
usually, or are they really good at it and don't get
Some
noticed?
people are good at it, but I've heard text rings sometimes.
Oh, yes.
But some of the teachers are kind of old.
they can't hear the little
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And my class is so small that you can't really get away with anything.
Right, they
so
know everything.
they're always paying attention to what you're doing.
And if you move, they'd be like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
it's
they-
very nerve-wracking.
Because they did not have that when I went to school.
But I think
I don't think you're
I
supposed to have
think
that.
there's
It
only
does
like
me.
2 that are actually filming, and the rest are just
There
there.
to scare you.
Yeah.
So they have them placed all around just to, in case something happens, they'll be able to review the
Yeah.
matter. Do they do that? Do they
Yes.
ever?
Really?
Yeah, was in a brand new middle school. It was maybe built 2 years before I got into 6th grade. So it was,
The 90s.
So why did they have
Yeah.
cameras there?
I always thought that they just wanted to keep the school looking brand new and pristine and,
So you
No
weren't,
vandalism.
you didn't feel intimidated or anything by the cameras
No.
being there?
And I think, in a way, a lot of people don't like school, and the way that, like, the school is, it's making them not want to be there, and the atmosphere and all the things that are going on.
You don't feel
And, like, your
welcome at
peers
all.
sometimes.
You don't
At
feel
least in my school, when you walk into it, you don't really feel welcome. It's like
by the other
by all the
students?
cameras and everything. It's just like a whole prison all to itself. I mean, it's fine.
The building itself.
The building itself is like.
They expect us to be bad.
I know, it's almost like the cameras are set up there just to catch us. Like, ooh, you done something bad, but it's not. It's not.
School have metal detectors. Did your school?
We didn't have any metal.
Because when you walk into the building, first of all, you have to get buzzed in by the person that's
you're
watching,
late.
or an adult.
If you're late,
If you're
Yeah.
late to school, or if you're an adult, like just coming into the school, like the door is always locked and has like a number combination pad thingy. And
It's weird.
so
yeah,
strangers can't come in.
yeah, it's like a whole compound. It's like
Do you guys ever do like lockdowns and stuff?
Yeah.
Wait, what's a lockdown?
Like if there was, it's like practicing if there was like a criminal or something. I've never done it before, but I guess you have to.
Where you stay in the corner.
Yeah, and you have to
Where
like
none of
close
the-
all the doors and close all the shades and turn off the lights. And
We
lock
did
the
that in
door.
elementary school, but I don't.
We've
Yeah,
never
we
done
did
it.
it. We did it once this
Once at
year.
the beginning
I
of the
was
year.
in science, and we had to go in the closet. Yes.
Yes.
For what? Like allergies or like?
No, like mood for
Oh,
for like
yeah.
controlling moods and
Depression.
I don't think many kids have depression.
Maybe not.
Depression's kind of
but
for
just
older people.
to keep them calm sometimes.
Yeah, I don't really like that. Like, if you have a lot of energy and stuff, you should just be able to deal with it. Or teachers should be able to deal with it. Or parents. I mean,
You don't need
that's
medication just to
who
calm
are.
you down.
Yeah, and a lot
That's
of
kinda
times it
sad.
doesn't work. And when you don't have it, the kids are crazy. I mean, seriously.
Were kids on antidepressants or any medications?
Nothing.
No, I don't
What-
think so.
what
I'm
about-
sure they were in mine.
What about ADHD, you mean?
We didn't have that.
If we didn't feel well, my mother made us a nice cup of hot tea, or she came into us, she'd have us lay
Hot
down, and she'd
chocolate.
come in
Lying down was bad.
with hot chocolate and read to us. We had as many
there
as
were.
70 kids in my class, and nobody was like that. Nobody. Except there was one little boy who actually probably had Down syndrome, but he was a very outgoing little boy and very friendly, and that was my 4th grade, where we had over 70 students, and Sister Cecile was the soul of patience. But now and then, Donald O'Neill did try her patience, and he would have to, I have to tell you, sit in the wastebasket.
In school, there's a lot of collective punishment where one person screws up and everybody has to pay for it.
Yeah.
They want to make it clear that they don't want anyone doing what this person did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, "Oh wow, I'm not gonna do that," or what I think what they want to do is to have your people's peers to go up to their peers and be like, you know what, don't do that. That's wrong. You're gonna make everybody pay for it. But that doesn't work because kids don't listen to other kids.
No?
They don't
No.
listen to.
Who do they
don't
listen
to
to?
kids because
They don't listen to anyone.
You guys don't listen to
some of them
anyone?
listen to grown-ups. Some of them listen to teachers and stuff. If they're gonna get in like big trouble, and they don't want to get in
Well,
trouble. But
There's a certain point where kids listen to other kids,
Yeah.
but why would you want to say
Yeah.
anything? It's really hard to know when to say something and when to not say something.
especially if you're not really friends with that person.
The school was very diverse because it served a big, big neighborhood, and so there were all kinds of students there. They came from all over the area, and yet there were very, very few, very minor discipline problems.
I remember feeling really sorry for the way the nuns treated students that didn't do well. I particularly had a brother who was a year behind me, and they would take me out of class and send me down, even when I was like in the 2nd grade, and send me down to the 1st grade and listen to him read out in the outside. You know, they were very cruel. I mean, and how they treated people that didn't do well or hadn't done their homework. I mean, they would hit them over the heads with a ruler and put them in the coat closet, and a lot of very harsh things. You know. Yeah.
If someone did something wrong, was the entire class punished?
I don't remember that, but I think they probably were. I had to stay in from recess or something like that. It's a lot of humiliation.
I just remember, like, I was very quiet when I was young, very quiet. I never spoke unless I was spoken to. I mean, I had friends and I was myself around them, but in terms of the classroom environment, I was quiet because if I didn't want to open myself up to like getting picked on, so I just kept my mouth shut.
Did kids get picked on and beat up and?
Oh yeah,
Where did you
lots
go to
of
school,
pranks
Jill?
were, played or pulled. In Ohio.
In Ohio.
Yeah,
Did
and I remember the big kids who like developed earlier, girls and boys. They tended to be rough, like very, I just
Physically?
remember the bullies were physically bigger than a lot of the other kids. There were definitely some small bullies.
Small bullies and big bullies. No, I don't know when the bullying thing started. I honestly don't. But there
You
was
don't
none.
remember fights?
There
or-
was none. No, my father. There were fights in his school when he was in high school. He lived in Dover, New Hampshire, and went to school there. And in his day, it was a mill town, and there were some pretty pugnacious, lots of Irish kids who liked to fight. But my father was the youngest of 5 children, and he had a brother who was 10 years older than he was, and nobody dared to mess with him.
This
His
was
brother
the 20s, right? When he was in school?
Would have been. Well, he graduated in 31 from high school. But nothing in my day. There was absolutely no bullying whatsoever. If it was, I never saw it, didn't know anything about it.
Were there cliques?
Yes, that was the word I was just going to use, the word
Girl
clique.
clicks.
Girls, there were definitely cliques.
Please
Yeah.
describe.
I don't remember the bullies.
No, I don't
either,
remember
except I do
bullying.
remember my brother being, the same brother with the reading problem, who is now like this big triathlete and like a major reader. I remember him being beaten up by a girl who was pretty fierce in our neighborhood, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a certain point where it is middle school, and like, you know, it's, I don't
You
know.
need to stand up to them, tell them
Yeah.
just to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And there's a bully in every crowd. If there wasn't, you wouldn't learn the things that you
Yeah.
need to learn.
and when you get
Not that
older and you
bullying
get a
is good.
job
Yeah.
and you
not
have
that-
coworkers and stuff, you gotta learn how to deal with them. So
Yeah.
school's a good way to have that knowledge,
To
to learn
prepare
how
you
to
for
deal
that.
with people that just don't work. Like there's some people in classes that just don't work and you partnered with them. That
Oh, God.
annoys the crap out of me. Just
Yep.
like
No.
work. I want to get a good grade in this class, and then they like
I think
bring your
everyone's
grade
had that
down.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had that
Except for my
experience.
teacher understood
Yeah,
when that happened.
I like the
because-
teachers that understand that.
The cliques.
We had everything you could imagine in terms of cliques, and we named them. There was actually a really great nonprofit working in our middle school to help break up the cliques and get students to interact with one another from various socioeconomic backgrounds and interests and sports. You know, like the baseball players don't interact with the soccer players, but there was this movement to like stop some of that. And they were successful in some degree, but there were definitely cliques, especially at lunchtime. You know, the alternative group, the preps, they wore like all Abercrombie and Fitch. I don't know if that's still the case
yeah,
today. And, you know, I remember begging my parents to buy me name brand clothing. Luckily, I had older siblings who, you know, challenged me on that front a lot. They'd be like, Jill, is Abercrombie paying you to market their store? So it was just, yeah. And you could tell by the clothing that kids wore, kind of where they...
I was new in the 6th grade, new in the 7th grade, new in the
Oh.
8th grade, new in the 9th grade.
Oh, gosh.
I know, but my teacher in the 6th grade was black, which was very, very unusual for Springfield, Mass. In that era. And the school was very progressive, and she made sure that I was invited to everything. I was the new girl, and I didn't even know it. I didn't really get it till the end of the year that she was interceding for me all the time. And in the 8th grade, I went to a Catholic school, but this order of nuns was very progressive too, and they were very careful to make sure that new people were accepted. I remember I was invited to become a cheerleader about the first day I was there, and I'm not the cheerleader type. But it was fun. I mean, they asked me if I joined them, and I did. But in both cases, it was the faculty who were watching out, and so I never encountered any, you know, exclusion stuff because somebody was always, I had sort of guardian angels where I went to school.
Advisory again.
Yeah.
It's at the beginning and the end. The
Oh,
end
so
of
you
the
go
day.
back to where you started.
Yeah.
Kind of wrapping up the day and stuff.
For me, it's some lower grades can get to go to like outdoor recess at the end of the day, but normally my class just waits for the bell to ring, and some people go and wait for their parents to come, and other people just get on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have like after school programs.
Yeah.
Same here.
Oh, to help the teacher, kind of
Occasionally?
stuff. Yeah, frequently.
I
probably.
stayed after for sport.
Yeah, yeah.
What time would you get home then?
After sports, maybe 4:30.
Something like that. And the rest
Or
of you got
4.
home around.
We got out at 2:30 from junior high, and I walked home, so I was home a little before 3. So my after-school thing was always music, but I, you know, took piano lessons privately, so it didn't have to do with the school. And as much as I liked school, I was always very anxious to get out of there and never wanted to stay for anything. So
I must have learned that from you.
The two main after-school programs are Beams, which Beams has like a whole bunch of opportunities for
Like cooking.
really, really fun stuff. Or you can do sports.
Now, is
But
that
if you-
education too? What they're doing?
Educational Beams is
Yeah.
Beams can be very educational.
Yeah. Okay.
Like they're doing like
Even like making robots and
making
stuff.
computer design, and it's pretty cool. It's really cool. And Or you could do sports, but if you're doing sports, you can't do games. So you have to choose.
Mhm.
Because the sports schedule is like every day. There's practice like every day. And so yeah, those are the two main activities that you can do. And or if you're staying after school, you're getting help from a teacher or something. That's called extensions. When you get like C or below, you have to stay for extensions with that teacher.
Just the bell rang and you were allowed to run out the
Oh,
door?
no, running, no. You
Oh,
went
walk politely out the
you
door?
know, I think we went out in like order rank, you know, and they were like standing in certain orders in the parking lot until
And then you
we allowed
waited for someone to
dismissal.
pick you up?
nobody picked
We-
you up.
we had a
no,
bus
you
circle.
walked and you took the bus.
We had a
or-
bus circle, so we had to go find our bus number.
People didn't pick their kids
Yeah.
up then.
No such
They-
thing. The
no.
mothers didn't
The
drive.
mothers didn't drive, they didn't have extra cars.
And my father came home at 7 at night, so he was surely not going to pick us up.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Sometimes if they're being nice, you only have homework in one core or two. But
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah, but usually we have homework, at least one little piece of homework in every single core.
Oh, I had tons of homework. No study hall. No, all homework was done at night. We had tons of homework.
Did you ever try to sneak your work in while you were still at school?
I was a very good student. No, I was like so boring. You know, really.
You would
I was
wait
the kind of
till-
those people that you hated in school
I
because I
was
really
too.
loved it. I did so well, you know, and it was really, I thrived on it. Run essay contests, and we had spelling bees every Friday. We had a lot of homework.
But like we got used to it. We got used to getting a lot of homework.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You gotta learn
I don't
how to
think I
do
get
it.
as
and
much
then-
homework as them.
Yeah.
I only get like one piece of homework in one subject.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is too much, or like, maybe the teachers think that, oh, there's only a paragraph of writing, but really,
It all
we had-
it all adds up.
yeah.
If you have
we
homework in every core, one paragraph in every core, that's like 4 paragraphs.
I feel like you got enough family time after school.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
My mother
yeah.
was always home with a snack. She had a nice hot lunch for us.
Right.
And until I was in high school, we came home every day for lunch.
Right.
And she had dessert and a hot lunch. And,
Right.
oh, yeah, she was waiting for us to come home and listen
Do
to
our
our
homework.
stories. And, oh, yeah.
Before you go out, you had to do your homework.
And we all had dinner together. We always had dinner together every night of the week.
Right.
So.
See, I never felt like I had enough family time. Like having dinner together was important, but my mom and dad both worked a lot just to make ends meet. My mom, I think when I was in middle school, she had to work evenings, so she got home at 11 p.m. So we had dinner with my dad. And that was like 4 nights a week, but I just remember like really missing my mom so much. And so I would have her wake me up when she got home. And that was hard.
Yeah.
But I think it was just that,
It's a tough age,
you know,
too, to
work, yeah.
not have your mother around.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
But I had an older sister, so I was
filled
into
in.
her, like,
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And you have to
Because
go to
you
bed
get
at
like
night.
family time, not that much family time, I would say.
yeah.
And then you have to go to bed like
at a decent time.
yeah,
So
so,
that
you
you
don't
can get
want
up
to
and
wake
do-
up.
Yeah.
So you
And do
can
it
wake up and
all
do it
again.
again.
You went to school at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 and you left at 3:30, and that was, I think we went to school 8:30 or 3:30, and that was the end of it. It was pretty serious, just academic subjects.
Family time is like for the weekends, vacations, and
Depends on how much homework you have.
yeah, and
usually-
a little bit at the end of each day, each school day.
Usually my family time is like dinner. If it's on a school day, that's
Dinner.
all. It's not enough.
Maybe not even. Like sometimes people just like sit on the couch.
Do
eat a
their
burger.
homework while they eat.
Yep,
While they're watching TV.
yep. And don't even look at their family. That's not what we do.
No, there was no drinking, smoking, sex. The most sex we ever did was playing spin the bottle, which even that was new to me, because coming from New Hampshire, and when I was 11, I guess we moved from New Hampshire, and I was still very much a little girl, still playing with dolls and playing dress up and so forth. So yeah, we grew up very late.
That's what Healthy Bodies is for. They tell you not to do that.
Right. Do you know kids that are doing any of those
Yes.
sorts of
Yeah.
things?
Yes.
Yeah, I did
Probably.
too.
Yeah. It's like one in every crowd.
Right.
I do remember that maybe 6th, 7th grade, there would be, quote unquote, faster kids. They usually transferred in from the public school. For some reason, I remember Richard Vining and Jimmy Gately, and they were just these guys, and they maybe smoked a little. And
Josh Gladowski.
It's amazing.
You had a crush on me.
I was totally into the bad
looked like
boys.
you were
I still love the
16.
bad boys, and you would kind of, sometimes you get to hang out with them, like we had a pond at the top of our road where they'd be ice skating, and so after school you'd go ice skating in the winter, and the guys, they'd be there smoking.
We used to do
and
that
so it's
too, but
really
not
kinda
smoke.
cool.
No.
But there was no sex. I mean, there might be some kissing.
Right, kissing was
I even in high school there was hardly any. There was nothing until like senior in high school. Then there were like a few things, but nobody got pregnant.
Nobody.
There was no pregnancies. There was like nobody got drunk except Carl Cantarosi, but he came from Everett High School. They always transferred in from some public school.
Not even in college did the girls I know ever drink. I mean, they might have had something, but in general, if I went out with guys, even though some of them, when I was, at Boston University, I was in the music school, and some of them were jazz musicians. They played in clubs. I'm sure they drank. But if they took a girl out, they didn't drink. It was just, they just didn't. They were just more polite than that.
And a lot of them didn't have cars either.
Oh, no, we
a
used to
lot of
walk.
guys didn't have cars, so there
No.
wasn't a lot of like making out. I mean, maybe by the time you were senior, but
before
not
that,
before
no.
that.
So they can get rid of you because you're
So they don't
annoying.
have to teach you everything.
You think it's all a big scam just to get rid of the kids?
Yeah.
What everybody did in those days, period. It was the law besides.
I was going to say, it's the law
illegal.
requires it.
Not to send your children to school.
If there was,
Was it really?
It was illegal. From the time you were 6.
It still is.
It still is. You have to go to school till
Or you
you're
have to be
16.
homeschooled.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Because they want you to
So
learn.
you can have a better life because,
Like a better education than we would if we didn't go to school.
you need a job and
You need a job.
They said you had a choice.
As a
Would you
student-
have decided to stay home, or would you have probably kept going to school?
Well, my parents would have made the decision because when I was growing up, children didn't make decisions on their own. We weren't asked what our point of view was ever. And my parents would have opted to have us in school because we discussed this years later when homeschooling came in, and their feeling was that children needed their social group in order to develop normally, so I know they would have sent us. And both of my parents liked school, so.
Well, both of my parents were school teachers, so. But I was happy in school.
I was too. I wanted to go to
Yeah.
school.
I liked the learning part. I didn't like a lot of interaction with peers.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of bullying. I wasn't like the one that was always picked on, but I always felt vulnerable.
why do you go? Like, do you go? Do you go because you have to?
Yeah.
Because you have to. It's a law.
What if they said? What if they said tomorrow? Like, you don't have to go to school. It'll still be there. Things will still be going on. Would you go?
yes,
You'd still go?
yes,
Why?
because
You wouldn't really have anything to do.
well, you would.
Yeah.
I would go because
You want to see your friends. You want to socialize with your friends. But
That,
if
yeah,
they
that's
actually
partly
said
why
that,
you
a
have-
lot of kids will be like not paying attention because they'll be like, oh, I don't have to go here. I can leave whenever I
Yeah.
want. I'll come back.
But a big part of school is the
Social.
social
Yeah.
part.
Like school,
You
in a way, it kind of teaches you to toughen up.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things you learn, like being around, like in middle school, and there's a lot of like maturing. No, I shouldn't use that word.
Immaturing?
Yeah.
Maturing, then maturing later.
Or maturing than immaturing.
Why educate our kids? Why do we do this?
Well, for one thing, you would never have a democracy that works if you didn't have an educated populace. You would have something like France before the Revolution, where the class from the middle downwards were absolutely and totally ignorant, and the class, even beyond that, was fairly ignorant. And it's very, very easy to dupe people who can't read, can't write, can't do math. I mean, I can't even imagine such a thing.
Well, I'm really worried about that because based, if you said in where I sit, and you
do.
see the students that every week I have several students who are dropping out of high school or are coming back, they're 18 years old or 19 and they dropped out a few years ago. You know,
Well,
and maybe
look at
there
our politics today, though.
Well, but the thing
I mean,
that we're going to have they're going to have people in power over this vast, badly educated population.
And I feel like people are being elected based on these social, quote unquote, family values, and not even on like what they're going to do to help build the economy or you know, just foundational like policies. They're not talked about.
In some ways we are. I mean, like, yeah.
Some things seem kind of pointless sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like, history. We don't have to know about that. That's the past. That happened a long time ago.
Maybe if we just learn like some history, maybe like
Only the important things.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
really important things that people actually care about.
Like the things that matter today still.
How would you
Made
know?
by
Yeah, that would
difference.
would make a difference in today.
Like,
How would you know what they are without learning a lot of them? Or how would you pick and choose?
the teachers would do that.
Do you think
Yeah.
they've already done that, maybe? And they're saying, yeah, actually, like, the ancient civilizations are kind of important?
yeah, well,
yeah.
it is important because then we could figure out how we got here today. But still, we shouldn't have like,
Stress it so much.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like extended.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this. It almost feels like whenever I go to school every single day, like my dad picks me up from school, and then he asks, "So, what'd you learn in school today?" And then I'm like, "Nothing. I didn't learn anything. Everything's the same
They're
every
just
day."
repeating it.
Yeah, they're just repeating stuff every single day. That's what it feels like to me. I know they're not.
Are you smarter than when you
But-
were 6 or 7?
Well, of
Yes.
course.
Are you learning some of that at school, or are you learning it all just on your own free time?
It could be kind of half and half because you learn a lot of things from your parents and the people
Yeah.
around you. So
Because you need street smarts and book smarts as well. Because, like, being street smart is, like, really important. Like, learning how to cook and stuff. It's really important. But, like, book smart is learning how to deal with numbers.
Well, I think that the thing that I remember the best was when I was in 8th grade, I had this particular nun for English, and she was one of the 2 best English teachers I had all through school. And she not only taught us to diagram sentences, but she taught us to write compositions. She showed us how to write topic sentences and how to develop our ideas and have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And she did it in such a way that you wanted to write. And so I was always very grateful to her because, yeah, she took a lot of time. She really enjoyed the use of the language, and yeah, that's one of my major things.
Yeah. I remember thinking that in middle school, but now looking back, you know, there's nothing that I learned that I wish I hadn't. That I probably wish I had, you know, done Calculus 2, for example, in high school, and, you know, calculus was too difficult for me, so I decided I don't need Calculus 2 for college. I'll just skip out. But I do regret, you know, going that extra mile.
Right.
And in middle school, you know, I think we're, I mean, of course we had to memorize a lot, and I always thought that was pointless. But now being older and knowing how difficult it is to like learn a new language, you know, you have to be able to memorize.
You have to.
But you know, it's,
Chemistry formulas.
chemistry.
It's your basics.
It is
It's
your
your nuts
basics.
and bolts.
And I
if you
remember
don't
thinking,
have
why
them-
do we have to do math longhand? We have calculators, we have computers. What's the point? But yeah, I mean that's what gets you to really understand how math works.
Yep.
Otherwise,
You would not know it
you would
at all.
not know it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful for the really strong foundation I got in, in academics, and particularly in writing. And I work with students all the time, that have dropped out of high school, and go over with them. And people that are graduating from high school and they can't do fractions, they don't know their decimals, they have no idea. I mean, they can use a calculator, but even then they don't know the process for these things. They've never learned it. No. And we memorized a ton, both in elementary school and high school. And we could recite poetry, and that just, the discipline of doing that and doing all that homework, really being disciplined to revise and review things. It sounds boring, and it was at the time, I'm sure, but you really learned it. And I just, I see the difference in all these students that come to me that don't have it. And even the smart students who have dropped out maybe in the 11th grade, and they're really intelligent, I can tell, and they do well enough, but they're just missing so much. They just have this really loose, kind of ephemeral level of knowledge.
And you can't
they don't
fill
have
it
any
in well.
like structured way of learning or approaching learning. They don't seem to have gotten that.
Yeah, our English tests are like, they give he gives us a paragraph, and then we fix it. We fix all the mistakes in it.
Like,
or a really big test that we had recently was the pronoun test. We had to name all the pronouns, and that was kind of hard for me. I got like a C+ at first, and then I redid it, and I don't know what I got. So he never gave it back to me.
Yeah.
I don't really like English. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't like it.
I didn't like that test because we weren't really what we were doing, we were memorizing them, and that's not really learning in a way. It's just
it's just feeding us information and having us spitting it back out again. I'm gonna forget this in a while, so
yeah, it's not helpful if we just memorizing them and putting them down on a piece of paper
because you might forget them quicker.
Yeah, like we need to understand them.
Is there anything that's good for memorizing? Like, are there certain things, like multiplication tables or something?
Yeah,
but you have to practice them to keep them in your head.
Because I had some phenomenal teachers, and I think I got a decent education.
And I think when we were in school, we did too. It's just that I'm not sure that they're getting the same thing now. I mean, I read the New York Times fairly often, and I find that there are grammatical errors by some of the best columnists who write for the New York Times, and I can't believe it. So, yeah, I do worry. I mean, I think we need more rigor, but not the kind of rigor that makes students bored. But I think we need quiet classrooms so students have the time to think. I think they can't feel as though they're going to be bullied the minute they go out into the homes. There can't be weapons and guards and, all these horrors
Well,
to
the
me.
whole ADHD phenomenon is a big driver here, too. I mean, 75% of my students say they have ADHD,
The perfect school, alright, it would be mostly outdoors, because people need fresh air and stuff, and it would be mostly outdoors, and like, we don't really go outside much, and even in reading times, like, you could just read outside, but like, I asked, like, can we just read outside, and they're like, no, that'd be too distracting. But
or it's too cold out.
Yeah. Like, that's what coats are for. That's what socks are for. Like, but the perfect school would be more outdoor times and learning things that you actually want to learn about. Like learning
making it more engaging.
And like not having to sit through things that you already understand.
Well, do you have things you want to learn about that you're not being taught?
Yeah, like what if you wanted to grow up and be a lawyer, say? A
you have to
perfect
wait
school
until you go to college.
Yeah, you have to wait until you go to college and law school and stuff. A perfect school would like teach you like some vocabulary words. No, just to like prep you for that, for law school.
Yeah, but it would give the school education that we have now. It gives us room to want to do other things. Then, if you want, like, I want to be a lawyer. When you say that when you're 5, then you go through school and you're just being taught to be a lawyer.
You have to learn about like different things to try and decide what you really want to be.
Yeah, perfect school. And you would actually have a really long break. Like, humans need a break to function.
And not
you
homework.
don't just eat and run and do something else. Then you end up just running and running and running and have to drink a lot of coffee and energy, and they just crash. So the perfect school would have a really long break where you get to eat, get yourself together, breathe, socialize.
Less homework, because
Yeah.
they could fit like a lot more stuff into the school day, like, because I don't know, they just stretch it out a lot more than they need to.
Stay in school.
Stay in school, but hope that they get beyond this testing phase, because of all of the things I did in middle school, I did take standardized tests. I would say that that was like the least rewarding part of our lives. Nobody was interested in that. And the stuff that we did that was really, really good in school were the kinds of things that don't have anything to do with standardized tests. There were things like, religion classes where we were accidentally taught civics and cooperation and group process by being forced to do a group assignment every week. That was like a phenomenal experience for us. But you couldn't be tested on that.
No.
And yet I think we all came out of that with grown-up skills.
I like the teacher I have now.
Yeah?
He's not afraid to, like, tell us things that we need to know, like, for the future, and he just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think my favorite, well, I have two, I guess. Mr. B, my 5th grade teacher, because he, like, let us have fun, and then he told us when to stop, and he engaged us in our work, so he wanted to do it, and showed us, like the interesting way to do it, and Captain R, too. She was my math teacher in 6th grade.
You could just say Miss Rosenberg.
And, like, she made sure everybody, knew what was going on, and, if someone was, like, distracting or not doing their work, she would, like, let them know to do it and deal with them. So.
Without nagging. Like, because a lot of teachers just drone on and on about, you need to focus.
Yeah.
My favorite teacher would probably be my 3rd grade and 4th grade. Deb Brody. Will probably be my favorite teacher. I mean, she taught me. Well, she made me better at writing.
Yeah.
I think I'm a pretty good writer. Like, she taught us how to, like, she kind of pushed us on elaborating on writing and stuff. And she taught us a lot about mushrooms. And I know it's kind of random, but it's a good thing to know. What if you're in the woods someday and just really hungry? Could eat a mushroom.
Yeah, and then 2 minutes later, be like, oh no, that's the mushroom that she told us not to eat.
And I think, too, just the idea that it's really important to keep faith with the whole idea of public schools, because now I hear things where, the public schools are less important. We could have charter schools, we could educate children at home. Public schools are expensive, but I think that over history, over time, we've had wonderful public schools in this country, and I think it's really worth continuing to work toward keeping them good, and remembering that once upon a time going to school was a great experience. There was nothing frightening about it. There was nothing coercive. And I know I went to school in a golden age between a coercive era and a too permissive era. But still in all, I think public schools are valuable. I think they serve an enormous purpose.